Morning, guys. One more week of online classes is down. Today I'm going to go over the last 10 words of Unit 10 vocab out of your book. The only assignment for today, other than your essay, which you've been working on for a while now, is completing the sentence from Unit 10 that is posted. It was posted around 8 this morning, I think, maybe a little bit before. So make sure you get that done by midnight tonight. Also, by midnight tonight, I want the Bronze Bow essays, 3 in-text citations, 1 per body paragraph. Make sure you got a good 3-point thesis. Make sure your topic sentences follow from it. Make sure you've got a works cited page and you cite the book. That's the only source we need for this. You should know all of that. You should be pretty close to finished if you're not already. I was going to have a Shirley assignment for Chapter 9, Lesson 3, but I'm going to push that back to Monday of next week, I think, so that you've got extra time to work on the essay just to be sure. But do get completing the sentence done for me. With that, I'll start with the words. So word 11 is nonconformist. So this is a word you may not have heard before, but it's a word that has a pretty simple meaning. It can be a noun or an adjective. It's someone who doesn't necessarily follow the rules. They don't really fit in with what's normal socially. So you might say he's such a nonconformist. He always wears funny hats and weird looking clothes and says strange things. Maybe you've got some kid that walks around speaking in, French half the time for no reason, like born in America and no French relatives. They just speak in French because they want to. They would be a bit of a nonconformist because of that. If somebody has beliefs that are really weird, like they think that every American citizen should be issued a slice of pizza per day or something like that, you could say they had nonconformist views or nonconformist beliefs, using it as an adjective. Either way, noun or adjective is fine. You might say if he keeps asserting his nonconformist views, he'll never be elected mayor. If someone was running for office and they had a bunch of weird views that people didn't really agree with, those nonconformist views could keep them from getting elected. It's a pretty simple word to actually use. It's just kind of a long one. Word 12 is not really a word. I hate when Sadler does this, but it's null and void, which is a phrase, not a word. But anyway, it's an adjective. It's usually used with legal matters like contracts. When something is rendered null and void or made null and void, it means that it's made of no effect. It's no longer binding. So if you and I have an agreement, like we shake hands and we say, hey, I'm going to give you this car and you're going to give me this much money and we're going to do it on this date. And before that date comes, I do something to the car, like I have an accident in it and it's all scuffed up, it's in bad shape now, it needs a lot of work, and it's no longer worth the amount of money we agreed on. I would have probably rendered that contract in a legal sense null and void. That contract would now be null and void because what I was going to give you had decreased in value. Okay, so the terms of the agreement have changed in a way that make it not binding anymore. You wouldn't have to still give me that much money, so the contract's null and void. You usually want to use it with contracts, legal agreements, things like that. There aren't a whole lot of other situations where you'll use that full phrase, like null as a word and void as a word have a lot more usages. But that full phrase, null and void, it's usually pretty specifically confined to that contract situation. Word 13 is panorama. So you're probably going to think of like the panoramic mode on your phone where you take a picture like this and it's a long scrolling photo. That's basically what a panorama is. And that's meant for taking photos of like landscapes. Like if you went to the Grand Canyon, you stood on the edge and you did your phone like this to take a panoramic shot. And it's that long, wide spread shot. That's a panorama. It's a wide view, usually of a landscape or some big area that you want to get a good view of. I've seen people do it at Bryant-Denny during football games. They'll take that panoramic shot and you can see it all around the stadium. That's a panorama. It's basically a wide photo. This can also be used figuratively. It can be a wide range of things. So if I said the new ice cream shop has a panorama of flavors, I mean they have a really big range of flavors. Or the new pizza place has a panorama of toppings. I mean there's a huge range, a huge selection to choose from. So panorama, think wide. It can be literally like a wide photograph. And that's usually the most common usage, or like a wide selection if you're using it figuratively. But again, with panoramic mode on your phone and all that, you should be fairly familiar with that word. So word 14 is posterity. Posterity is a noun. Panorama was also a noun. Panoramic is an adjective. Don't use that one. Use panorama. Posterity is a noun. It means like someone's descendants, their offspring, or it can just mean future generations of people in general. So if you said he left a lot of money to his posterity, it would mean he left a lot of money for his future descendants to inherit. So if you were so rich that your children's 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 children wouldn't have to work ever because you had so much money, you would have left an inheritance to your posterity that would get them by for the foreseeable future. A lot of the times people will say something like, you've heard in the Constitution, I'm sure, like history classes, to ourselves and our posterity. It means to ourselves and our descendants, setting up that those laws and rules. But people will say things like, we'll leave this to posterity, talking about some achievement that maybe people have made, like some great building or monument or some great book that's been written. Will be an achievement that will last for our posterity. It means that will last for our offspring, will last for future generations of humans to see. So not a terribly difficult word to use. If you were going to use it like offspring or descendants, it's a pretty close synonym. It's got a few other meanings, but if you choose to use it just as like descendants, that's totally fine. Word 15 is pry. So to pry is to pull something or to pull something out. This can be physical. You could get like a crowbar to pry up something like a floorboard or something like that. That would be prying something. If the hood on your car is jammed and you're trying to open it, you might have to pry it open. You could say, I pried the lid off the can when it was stuck. And those are physical, literal uses of the word pry. It can also mean to try to get information out of someone. So if your sister has a secret and she won't tell you, or she and your mom have a secret and you don't know what it is and they won't tell you, you might bug your sister and pry her for information, and eventually you might pull out that they're planning you a surprise birthday party or something. And then your mom would be mad because you pried into their secret. So to pry, again, it's to pull something, but it can be physical or it can be, bothering someone, prying information out of them, trying to get them to tell you something that they don't want to tell you. Word 16 is refurbish. So to refurbish is to fix something up, to restore it usually. So you're not going to refurbish something that's in good shape, that's new. You're going to refurbish something that's old, kind of beaten up, not in the best condition, something that needs to be restored, repaired. So you'll refurbish an old house or an old car. You might say, I bought a 66 Mustang and I'm going to refurbish it and then sell it for a profit. So a 66 Mustang made in 1966 might not be in the best shape if it hasn't been taken care of. To refurbish it, you would have to redo it, make it back like it was new, and then you could sell it and make a profit, or you could have a really nice car to drive around. You hear about people refurbishing houses. You can refurbish your own house. Like if you have a bathroom that hasn't been worked on and painted in 10 years, your parents might be like, hey, let's refurbish our bathroom this summer. And they might go get paint and repaint the bathroom, redo the lighting, whatever. You can, people buy houses and refurbish them, fix them up, make them like new, and then sell them. It's called flipping a house. You buy an old house for cheap and you refurbish it and then you sell it for a lot more. But it's a word, like I said, usually you're going to see it with cars, houses, some other objects. Things can be refurbished. There was a TV show a while back about a guy that just refurbished old antiques and sold them. I don't remember what it's called now, though. Your parents might know. But it's to fix something up. Usually that's old. Usually it's kind of beaten up that needs repairs. Word 17 is resourceful. So resourceful is an adjective. Refurbish was a verb, by the way. Resourceful is an adjective. And this means someone who's skilled at using the resources they have around them, full of resources, basically. Basically, they're really good at solving problems. They're very capable. They're someone you would want to rely on in a bad situation or a pinch. If someone's resourceful and you trap them in a room with a paper clip and a bubblegum wrapper, they might be able to find a way out. If they're not resourceful, they wouldn't. Still probably wouldn't, because that's not a lot to get out of a room with. Maybe the paper clip. But if someone's really resourceful, like I said, they're good at using the things they find around them. They're skilled, they're capable. They're a person that would be reliable in a bad situation. They're a person you would want on your side because they're capable of solving problems without a lot to work with. All right. Word 18 is rigorous. Rigorous is an adjective. Something that's rigorous is something that's difficult, it's strict, it's hard, it's a pain, okay? So if one of your classes is really rigorous, that means that class is really difficult. The teacher is strict on how you do your work. They don't give, a lot of credit or partial credit or extra credit or anything like that. Tests are really hard. You have to study a lot. You have to invest a lot of your time into this class. That class would be considered rigorous. Hopefully none of your classes, especially now that they're online, are very rigorous. Your classes are probably pretty easy right now. But it's something that's challenging. It's something that you have to work hard to get through. So if you're a runner and you run a marathon is a rigorous test of endurance. Even if you're a really good marathon runner, you're going to be exhausted after you get done. Running 20 plus miles is not an easy thing, even if you train for it. So it's a rigorous undertaking. Running a marathon would be. All right, word 19 is subsequent or subsequent, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I say subsequent. It's an adjective. It means something that follows something else. So this can be in time, like the afternoon is subsequent to the morning, night is subsequent to the afternoon. Or this could be like in a series of things, like you might say the Star Wars prequels came out subsequent to the original movies. You might say the Avengers came out subsequent to the original Iron Man or something like that. So it can be just something that follows something else is basically what it means. You could say I had lunch subsequent to going for a jog. I'm not doing that. Sorry. But you could say that it's just anything that follows something else. It's used as an adjective. It can be following it in time, following it in location, following it in order. Like if you're going for a drive up to Huntsville or something like that, and you might say we crossed the Tennessee River, or we arrived in Huntsville subsequent to crossing the Tennessee River, something like that. It's following it in location, like I said, following it in order, like in a series, or following it in time, like on a clock. Either way is fine. Like 3 is subsequent to 1. Any of those uses are fine. They're all very similar. Pretty easy word. Word 20 is unerring. So to err, E-R-R, not A-I-R, is to make a mistake, to mess up, which we all do all the time. So the word unerring is something you wouldn't use to describe us. It means something that's mistake-free, completely perfect, completely accurate, and never messes up. Okay. If someone tells you they're unerring, they are a liar. Okay. They are fond of prevarication, which I think we had as a vocab word. That might be 7th grade. But unerring means someone who never makes a mistake, never messes up, never does anything wrong, completely perfect. So no human being is unerring. We could say that God is unerring, and that would be accurate. But to describe a human being as that would obviously be inaccurate. Now, you could use it for specific circumstances. You might say he was unerring in his free throw shooting that game. Like if he shot 100% from the free throw line, he went to the line 8 times, he hit all 8 free throws, his free throw shooting was unerring. If somebody has 1,000 batting average during a game, they hit every time they get up to bat and they get on base, they were an unerring batter for that game. It means they were perfect. They didn't make a mistake during that specific game. Now, like I said, if you use it as a general adjective, like she is unerring, no, that's not accurate. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody messes up. Now, if you want to say God is unerring, sure, that works. But if you have any questions on any of these words, and obviously that's an adjective, it's used to describe someone or something. But if you have any questions on any of these words, any questions about your final draft, which again is due by midnight tonight, any questions on completing the sentence or anything else, let me know. I've noticed some of you have turned some work in late. Some of you have had some trouble getting assignments done. I'm going to go back for this week and look at those. And if you've turned it in late, I'm probably going to give you credit, but try to keep up with it in the future. I believe there's a tab on Google Classroom that just says classwork. If you look at the top of the page, I'll show you what mine looks like if my phone turn around and show it. So we've got Stream, which is just the main page where everything's posted. Classwork you should have. I don't think you might have people. You shouldn't have grades unless you've got one for your own. But classwork, you ought to be able to click on that and see just a list of all the assignments for this class and when they're due, when they were assigned, everything like that, point totals, all that sort of thing. So if you're ever in doubt that you've done something, or if you want to make sure, try to go to that classwork tab. Now, if you don't have that, I don't know why I would have that and you wouldn't, but look for that, try to find it, and make sure if you haven't turned something into me that you go back and do it. Some of you have said, well, I did my vocab exercises in the book. That doesn't do me any good. I can't see those, guys. We're not in the room together. You can't, you could take me pictures of it and send it to me, but I'm putting the exercises online where all you have to do is go through and click or type in an answer. That's pretty simple. This will probably be the last unit so this will probably be the last exercise today where I take it if you spell it wrong. Okay. Now, if there's an autocorrect or just a typo or something, yeah, maybe let me know. But if you just spell a word wrong, probably not. Okay. Because like I said, you've got the words in your book. I posted the vocab words online. I posted unit 10, I think Wednesday of this week, or it might've been Tuesday. Anyway, I've posted unit 10. You've got the words online. You've got the words in your book. There's no excuse for misspelling them, okay? So make sure you spell the words correctly going forward. Be very careful of that. Take your time with it. These exercises are short. I know that. You know that. All right, so good luck with your final drafts. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a good weekend. See you guys.